welcome back to April After Dark. I am a paranormal investigator slash occasional horror critic, so if you like that type of thing, then just click the subscribe button and make sure you click your bell so you'll be notified of future videos. But I am here today with my husband Toby, who I've mentioned many times on my channel, and we are here today to talk about sleep paralysis, aka Old Hag. I'm not sure if there's probably other nicknames for it that I'm not fully aware of, but I've been promising this for a while. So the first time I ever heard about having a sleep paralysis experience was with him. I had that happen and didn't know what it was, and it was taken aback by it, and basically was needing to tell you, hey, you know, something really weird happened to me last night, and it was not a nightmare, it was something else. And you told me what it was. But anyway, he had already had prior experience to it, so I thought you should go ahead and share your experience.
So yeah, I lived in a warehouse. It wasn't a warehouse, it was more of an office space in the late 90s. I'm showing my age here. But in the late 90s, it was probably like 98 or 99 area, and had gone and seen Blair Witch Project. It had just come out. So I guess it was 99 probably.
I think that was 99, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So had gone and seen that with an ex-girlfriend of mine at the time. Didn't know April yet. Obviously didn't meet
No.
till like 10 years later. But so we went and saw this Blair Witch Project, and I didn't really like it, honestly. I think it was because it was so packed at the movie theater that we had to sit in the front row, and because it was such a shaky, like, you know,
you
movie.
have to like see a movie where it's like right here and you can't really.
Yeah, it was right in my, I mean, we're literally, and it was shaky. I think I had a headache when we left.
Well, and I didn't really think about it till now, but if it's found footage, the scenes are already very choppy and kind of just, it's like, what's going on here? So
Yeah.
I can imagine being in the front row. It's like, and it's one of the first found footage films ever.
Yeah.
That you're just like, what the heck is going on?
And I kind of found it to be highly annoying, but I think it was because of where we were sitting. It just left a bad taste in my mouth. Anyhow, we left and went back to my band office space, and we had a jam room that we had all of our gear in, and then we had like a back room where we had beds and stuff like that. We set like a little pallet out on the jam room floor and passed out. And I remember I had a really bad, it was a nightmare, but I don't know, it was just a very weird dream. It was very like, almost like Blair Witch, because of the movie. Maybe I had this dream. It was just a very odd dream of all these weird people coming in and out of the office space, and there was a bonfire like in the parking lot in my dream, and so there's all kinds of odd characters coming in and out of my dream, and I was just like, what the hell are you people doing here? Get out of my office space, what are you doing here? And I remember thinking, why are all these people here, and what are you all doing here? It was just it was very, like, it was a weird feeling too in the dream. And then suddenly I woke up, my eyes were open but I couldn't move, I was paralyzed, and I saw this black, like, dusty, like entity coming up over me, and I could see the room, I could see the drum set there, I could see my guitar amp, you know, I could see my girlfriend at the time laying next to me. I was looking at her, but I couldn't move, and I felt like I was paralyzed, and this thing was coming over me, and it was the most terrifying feeling that I had ever had in my life. I don't really get scared at much, you know. I just, you know, it takes a lot to frighten me. Like, horror movies don't really scare me. I think they're kind of funny most of the time. And so this was the most terrifying thing ever, because I literally thought there was some sort of evil entity, which I think it might be. I mean, nobody really knows what it is. This thing's coming over me, and then suddenly it's on my chest, and it's pushing me down, and I felt like, this is it, I'm dying, and this is like, I'm going to hell, and this is one of Satan's minions or something pushing me and bringing me to, pushing me. It felt like I was being pushed down to the center of the earth, is what I felt like, and it was so terrifying. And I was sitting there trying to say the words help. I was trying to scream for help, but I was paralyzed. I couldn't talk. I was like, and all I remember is looking up, trying to look over, and really hoping that this girl that I was with would wake up and help me, which eventually is what happened. I guess she heard me kind of gargling, you know, like
gasping for air,
you know, and she finally like shook me, and I'm like, and it just went away, and suddenly I was awake, and it was gone, and I'm like, what the hell? I was probably cursing way worse than that, but it was like, what the F was that? And she's like, what happened? I was like, dude, there's some kind of evil entity in here, and it's just trying to take me to hell. And I was terrified. And so that happened, but I didn't go to sleep that night just because I was like, what the hell was that? I knew that it wasn't a dream. Like, I just knew it wasn't a dream. And so, I don't know, it was about a month later. I didn't really say anything to anybody about it because I felt kind of weird. Like
maybe it was just a weird nightmare.
Maybe that, or what am I going to say? There's an evil entity living in my office space.
What if the place is haunted? I think
that's what I was wondering, though. And I'd had some things happen, like paranormal, in my life where I believe in the paranormal, you know, but nothing like that had ever happened. I mean, it felt like I was an actual demon was in the room with me, and I was being taken down to hell. And so it was about a month later where the back room of the same place is where we had some what do you call, not this thing, but not a cot, but it folds out. It's a couch, but a futon. Thank you. I just can't think right now. Couldn't think of it. Thanks. So we had a futon. There was a couch in there, and we would basically, when we weren't on the road, we would sleep there, you know. And so the thing about this room was there's no windows. So if it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and the doors are shut and the lights are out, it's pitch black in there. And it was great because, you know, for that lifestyle at that time, we slept during the day a lot of times back then. So it was probably like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I was by myself. I was in there, and I was thinking, I'm going to take a nap. I was exhausted. Probably had too much to drink the night before or something, whatever it was. And so I was in there, and the same thing happened, but this time I was by myself, which was even more terrifying because I was like, there's no one here to save me. This thing is going to kill me. And it started happening. And I don't even remember how I got out of it. I think I just finally came out of it and was freaked out, ran in the other room, and I called a friend of mine. And I was like, hey man, is it cool if I come over? It was John. Yeah. I called him. I'm like, hey, is it cool if I come over right now and hang out? And he's like, sure, come on over. And I was freaked right out. I mean, I was completely freaked out. So he lets me come over. I get to his house. And I sit on his couch, and he's like, so what's up, man? And I guess he could tell there was something wrong with me. And he was just like, man, are you okay? Is everything okay with you? And I'm like, nah, not really. Something weird's going on. I think our jam room is haunted, dude. I think there's a demon in there, and it's trying to kill me. And he's like, I was like, you probably think I'm crazy. And he's like, what? I'm like, and I started telling him what happened. I was like, I explained to it just like I said. I told him about the first time, and then what had just happened. And he goes, man, come with me. I just saw a television show last night on this very subject. It's called Old Hag. And I'm like going, what? Old Hag? He goes, yeah, it happens to people every day. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? And so we go in his computer room, and he pulls it up, and there it is. Like tons and tons of people pretty much telling the same type of story. Like, you know, very similar thing happens. They fall asleep. This thing comes up over them and sits on their chest, or it's pushing their chest down.
Breathe.
They can't breathe. They can't move. They can't talk. You're just paralyzed. It's called, you know, scientifically they say it's called sleep paralysis, but there's really not an explanation as to why it happens. It's like in the first 30 seconds or so that you're falling asleep, or the last as you're coming into awareness. It happens. That's when it happens, but they can't explain why.
Isn't it during like REM sleep?
Yeah, I think.
Rapid eye movement.
Yeah.
Like when you're in a deep sleep, but you're almost
you're
out of it.
Coming up,
it's
or
a
you're
really
falling.
Weird
you're falling into deep sleep, or you're coming out of it. And so he showed me this, and it blew me away. I was like, okay. So number one, I'm not crazy because I thought I was going crazy. Number two, we're probably not haunted there because it was exactly what I was seeing with all these tons and tons of people and reading about it. And you know, it's probably since then has happened another 3 times to me, but then knowing what it was, I was able to get out of it because I could just get off me, and I because I knew what it was. When you don't know what it is, it's the most terrifying thing ever to me that has ever happened to me, you know? So yeah, fast forward 2008 to probably 2009 when we were,
It was 2009.
we had met in 2000. We met on my birthday in 2008. So we had been hanging out for several months, and we started hanging out and going to movies and doing all that kind of stuff. And we went to go see The Orphan. And it was an early showing. It was like a noonish area showing. So
Yeah, it was early day showing because I think you might have had to work later.
Yeah, or something like that. It was at Firewheel. So we go and we meet up, and when we see each other, it was just like typical when we would get around each other. It was just what's up, like this super excitement going on. And I'll never forget walking up to you and you just having this, like something awful had just happened to her. And I'm like, hey, are you okay? And she was like, I want to tell you something, but
you're gonna think I'm crazy.
You're gonna think I'm crazy, and I think my response was, well, I already think you're crazy because you're hanging out with me. So, so I was like, just go ahead and tell me. So, do you want to tell it?
Well, okay. So I had this thing, sleep paralysis, happened to me probably 2 times prior to this time that I felt compelled to tell somebody about it. But the couple of times that it happened before, so the first time happened, 4 years prior to that, and it was during a period of my life when I was recovering from being on a really hard drug, crystal meth, for a while, and I kind of equated it at the time to just having withdrawal. I don't know. I'd never been, no one knows what they're supposed to be thinking when they're very young and they're coming, you start doing hard drugs and then you do them and then you're, trying to get sober, and your body and your mind and everything is weird because you've done something really weird to your body. So I was coming off of that, and I remember watching this show on HBO at the time, was called 6 Feet Under. It's one of my favorite shows. It still is. Wish it was still around, but it's not. And I was watching like a DVD of it at the time, and you know how your DVD menu kind of, if it goes to the menu of the movie, and it doesn't always happen with every movie, but it'll like play on repeat a score that might go to the film or the show or whatever. Well, it was playing that, and I guess I had dozed off, and sometimes I had this really weird habit of, if I couldn't sleep, I don't do this anymore, but it's something I did a lot when I was younger, and I never thought much of it, but sometimes I would sleep at the foot of my bed. Like my head would be at the foot of the bed. Yeah. I would just do that, and I don't know why. I think I would sleep better that way sometimes. I don't know. I really honestly don't fully remember why I would do that, but anyway, I had done that night, and I was watching I don't know what season of 6 Feet Under, but I was watching it, and it's like orchestral music, like instruments, no voice or anything, and it had been playing in the background. I just kind of just left it on and went to sleep, and it seemed like the sound became very distorted and like
computer, like robot type?
No, not robot, just like, it's like no, it just took like an octave, like several octaves down, like where it sounded very like scary, drudging and scary. And I remember hearing that, and then there were like 3 entities around my bed, like one on this side by the window, and then one at where my head was, and they were all like peering down at me, trying to push like some sort of weird evil energy, just like throw it at me basically. But they were like, it's like they were pushing it all down, and I remember thinking like, I want to yell for help, but I can't find my voice, and I can't breathe, and I can't yell. And meanwhile, I noticed the sound. I mean, I could see, like you were describing, I could see everything in the room. I could
like you're awake,
but I can't like move my eyes too much. That's like probably the only thing you can really do. And that, the score to 6 Feet Under, this, class, like orchestral music that's very pretty sounding normally, or kind of melancholy sounding, very like drudging and evil. Like it just went, it was just very I remember hearing that and I was thinking, what in the hell is going on? But it just felt like these three forces were around and they were just like, it was weird. I don't know. It was kind of like in my mind, I woke up and I remember thinking, I gasped for air when I woke up and I was thinking, what the heck was that? Maybe that's just, and I had journaled it at the time, maybe that's just something that happens when you're coming off of speed. I don't know. But I mean, I hadn't been using it for a while. And I had been getting sober, so I just thought that's what that was. So I just kind of chalked it up to the most vivid nightmare that I'd ever had in my entire life, and how strange it was that I could see my entire bedroom. I could feel my chest, I could feel everything, but I couldn't do anything about anything. Like I couldn't scream, yell, anything, but I felt this overbearing sense of evil literally surrounding me. There was a figure here, and a figure here, and I was thinking,
this is it.
But I couldn't even like make that noise. It's terrifying. So I just chalked that up to that. 3 years later go by, and I was hanging out with some guy, dating some guy, I don't know, before Toby.
Wait a minute.
Anyway, we had gone to like a concert festival, like this rock concert festival that they used to have here, and went over to his house, and I wound up like, we both fell asleep, and I remember him waking me up in the middle of the night. Like all of a sudden I woke up, like he's like, are you okay? And I was having the same feeling happen to me, but I didn't have three figures around me. I just had like something pushing me down. I could see in his room, it was all dark, and he woke me up out of it and was like, are you okay? You were like gasping for air. I thought that was weird. I didn't want to talk about it. I remember saying, I think I'm going to go back to my house, and I left because I didn't want to, I don't know, it freaked me out because it reminded me of 3 years ago when
you didn't know what
all that negative stuff had happened, and I didn't want to talk about my past. So I had gone home and just kind of, flushed it away in my memory, and I was like, it's not something that you just don't talk about. You just don't talk about it, whatever. Well, then another year goes by and I'm hanging out with him, and I remember I was really excited because I love horror movies, as you guys know. And I was so excited to see this movie Orphan, and I was super excited because one of my friends, he saw it before on a date that he went with, and he had said, have you seen Orphan yet? Because he knew I like scary movies. And I was like, no, but I plan to, I don't know when. Because I worked at a bar at the time, and I worked on weekends, so I wasn't able to go. He worked at a bar too, different bars, but we worked on weekends, so we didn't have, we would go see movies on the week, typically. And he's like, well, good luck with that ending. And we're thinking, wow, I'm really intrigued, and I'm really freaking excited. So I remember telling you that, and I was like, we gotta see this movie, immediately. So I think it was like a Wednesday or something, and I was so excited. I remember waking up really early in the morning, just like I kind of woke up and I was thinking, oh, I get to go see that movie in 6 hours. I'm so excited. And I kind of casually fell back asleep, and it was the middle of summer, and I don't know what the heck happened, but I was sleeping and I kind of woke up. It was daylight because it was morning, and I could see my nightstand to the left of my face. I could see that, and then I could see my lamp, and I could, all of a sudden I was thinking, I don't know, I was trying to take a breath or something, and I realized my breath was like gone. I couldn't make any noises, nothing. And this is gonna sound funny, but when you're like, it felt like that, but I was trying to, and all of a sudden I was like, you just have this feeling, I don't know how to explain it unless you've been through it, where there's this like second of, oh my gosh, I'm in big trouble. I am in trouble. There is something
You're
really
not alone.
Bad, and whatever it is not good, and its goal is to kill me or something.
It's definitely an evil feeling that is in the room.
It's an overwhelming
when you like
feeling.
come to and you can't move.
It's an overwhelming feeling, and it's brought on by more terror, by feeling that, knowing that you can't. All of a sudden, you're like you want to do something,
you're trapped,
and you're like,
yeah.
So okay, the only way I know how to explain this is I was like, all of a sudden I realized what was happening. I was in sleep paralysis, but that it was in the morning. The other 2 times have been at night. So this was the one that made me have to tell somebody about it. But anyway, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God. And I was thinking, I know my dad's awake. He's downstairs. I lived with my dad at the time, and he was downstairs, and I could hear him, putzing around. He always would have his coffee, and he'd go play like on his computer for a while. And I remember hearing him, and I could hear the dogs, like little chains, like jingling and stuff. So that was really what freaked me out, is that I could still hear reality actually happening. And there was something on the right side of the bed coming over, and I don't know how to explain what it looked like beyond it looking like some really, because I couldn't really see it, but it looked like this, like almost like a tree. I don't know, really tall and brown and dark and like misty looking, but not white misty looking, like a tree. But I could hear it was making this weird like clicking noise, and I felt it. When you're on your bed and you feel somebody get on the bed, it sinks a little bit. That's what I felt, but it was like it was. I think I've described it to you because it feels like it's like when you get a knee on the bed and it's like you start moving. That's what it felt like. It was moving towards me, and I was thinking, oh my god, in my head. But I was trying to yell, Dad, help, and I couldn't. And I could hear it. I was thinking, oh, what is this? It's the middle of the day. It's the morning, actually, not the middle of the day, but it was morning, and this thing was like, its knee was on the bed, and it was like,
oh god,
like that.
That's terrifying. Wasn't the bed shaking, you were saying? Like,
well, yeah, because when you feel a knee get on the bed, like when someone's getting on the bed, and it was like
okay. I'm gonna have freaking nightmares tonight about this.
But it's like, you can't really see it clearly. It's just like this, like, it almost, when I've heard about what an elemental spirit is, that's kind of what it seems like to me. You look at this giant brown black tree with like fog coming on it that was black fog, like it was like okay.
You're correct. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm just
trying to explain how absolutely terrifying it was. And it was not in the nighttime. It was like in the day. And then I was like, so I got up and I remember telling my dad, I was trying to yell help for you. There was some weird nightmare I had. And he's like, well, next time call for me. And I was thinking, I don't think you don't understand. I couldn't yell for you.
Because you didn't know that about sleep paralysis at the time.
No, so
you still thought you were having some weird thing going on that you couldn't explain.
That was a little much for me.
Yeah.
That was like,
right.
So that was a little much for me, having that happen. That was too realistic for me. I said, what the heck was that? I mean, after the 2 other times I had this happen, that's another time I had this feeling where I'm like, all of a sudden I know that there's something bad in the room and I can't breathe and I can't yell, and all I know is that I need help from somebody else because I can't do anything about it. I don't know how to describe that feeling, but it's not a pleasant feeling. Trust me, you do not want to go
helpless.
through this.
You feel helpless, like you can't do anything.
My life is, I mean,
yeah,
it's just
like your life is in danger.
It's immediate. It's like this immediate feeling of like, you're dying right now, and here's some nasty creature that's going to kill you.
Yeah. And another thing about this too is that it sucks no matter when it happens, but when it happens and it's daytime or if there's daylight out, that's when it's really weird, because you're waking up. It's not like you're having a nightmare at that moment, because it's daytime. I don't know, it's just different in the daytime.
That's what I was getting at, is that I'd already woken up and I was so excited about going to see that movie. And I was like, oh, I'm up at 6, I need to go back to bed. But I'm so excited about seeing, Orphan, because my friend had raved about it. So, and I knew I was going to meet you. So anyway, this happened. I was like, that was the craziest effing thing ever. So when I saw him, I got out of my car and I remember thinking, I gotta tell you something, and you're probably gonna think I'm crazy, because the way that sounds even now sounds like this evil tree being was in my bedroom and it was crawling on my bed and I couldn't breathe and I was dying.
The funny thing is, that's exactly what I said to my friend John when I went over to his house that day after the second time it happened. I was like, dude, something is going on and you're probably gonna think I'm crazy. I think the place might be haunted. I think there's demons there. I mean, like, it sounds crazy, kind of, but you know, but
so
you feel
vivid
crazy,
that
kind
you
of.
have to explain it. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know if that was even real.
Yeah.
Your mind doesn't want to believe that it's real. You want to think. That's why I said the first time it happened, I thought it was just a very vivid nightmare. I thought, that was so crazy. I mean, I've never had a nightmare like that. What in the world? How is scary as hell? Maybe that's when people get ideas for horror movies. That's what I thought at the time. And then, years go by and it happens again, and you're just like, what the hell is this?
Well, it's just funny because, when you started telling me, I was like, well, what happened? Tell me what happened. After I joked for a second about her being crazy, I was like, no, seriously, what's going on? What's happening? So she started telling me what had happened to her. And as she's telling me this, I'm like, oh, this is the old hag.
You tried to overwhelmingly be very calming to me. You're like, oh, you know what? It's okay. It's Old Hag.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
It's called Old Hag. You can look it up. And she pulls her BlackBerry out.
You're really gonna go there.
Yeah, that was the big phone at the time. I was like, get your phone out and Google it,
Oh, it's okay. It's
Yeah,
Old
I was like, man, you're
Hag.
fine. You're not crazy.
It happens.
I mean, any
to
more
millions.
crazy than you really are.
It happens to millions of people. I've had this happen too. Don't worry, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's how you were saying it to
And
me.
it
I was
was.
like, Old Hag.
Yeah, and
What
she
the hell
looked
is
it
that?
up. She's looking at it. Oh my God, like, oh my God, this is exactly what it's like. It's this, moment where you're like, oh, thank God, I'm not crazy.
But then,
I mean, more than I'm.
Then you have a
crazy.
moment where you're like, but what the hell is it?
But the thing is, they still can't explain what it is and why the same type of thing happens to everyone that has a very similar story. There is no explanation for what this. Why does everyone, if it's a hallucination, why is it that everyone hallucinates a very similar thing?
Well, the feeling.
Why is it
feeling always like?
Yeah, it's very.
I think they try to say that it might be a sleep disorder, and I just don't believe that.
I don't believe that either. I think there's something to it that we don't understand, and when they don't, they have to make it. They have to try and make it to where it's understandable. Some things, especially in paranormal stuff,
you're not going to be able to
explain it away or understand it. I mean, I'm the biggest skeptic. I want to understand why something happened, and I mean, I believe in the paranormal, but I will try to do anything I can to figure out what it is before I believe it's paranormal. It's just kind of how I'm built or whatever, and that is one thing that I cannot. I think that's why when we watched Paranormal Activity together for the first time, I think that, I was genuinely
absolutely flipped.
When that movie ended, I don't know if it happened with all you guys, but when that movie ended and the lights slowly came up in the theater, I remember just sitting there going, what the because it's very similar to what the Old Hag is what was going on, and that's the closest thing that I've ever seen to what Old Hag is, and I'm sitting there going, this is realistic to me because, I'm sorry, it could happen.
Well, it's
to
also
me,
like it's a couple, and it's like there's something going on, and one person doesn't believe, and they push and they push and they push, and I mean that's not how we are necessarily.
No, but it's similar. Like I was sitting there watching it, going, man, that is very similar to how I felt.
That seems too eerie that probably has happened.
Yeah, that's what it is to me. When it's realistic and it's something that could happen, that's when I get like, ugh. And I think that's what it is, so.
But and then as the future goes on, which we'll get into those stories very soon. But we do have other. Okay, so there's other experiences that we've had with this whole old hag sleep paralysis thing that have to do with the paranormal because it's just way too fitting, and there's just some really weird idiosyncrasies that have happened with that particular experience that make it. There's too many weird things that have happened, and that's why I wanted to. It's hard for me to just sit and talk about it. And not have him here because he's got his own experiences and he's been with me through a lot of these, so it's more credibility and just he has another side to it. So
our experience is intertwined now too.
Yes.
Like we've had some weird things happen where we've been together when this has happened several times actually, and then especially with the Ouija board thing, which we're gonna get into and do a video.
That will be tied in with Old Hag, and trust me, it's terrifying. It's not a good night to relive, but we will tell it. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions, or tell me if you guys have had your own experiences with sleep paralysis, aka Old Hag Syndrome, or what you even think about it all. We're open to ideas and interpretation. Click your bell, like the video, subscribe please, and we will see you next time. Happy haunting, stay scared of a very creepy night. Bye.